I'm Charlie Rose with Gail King and Nora O'Donnell. President Obama is back in Washington. He's trying to jumpstart the gun control debate on Capitol Hill. He's getting help this morning from family members who lost loved ones in the Newtown school shootings.
Meanwhile, a group of conservative senators are promising a battle. Nancy Cordes is watching the debate on Capitol Hill.
12 relatives of Sandy Hook victims came to Washington aboard Air Force One Monday night after the president came to their state to praise Connecticut's new gun laws. Today, those families will share their grief with senators and plead with them to expand background checks and crack down on gun trafficking. They're not the only ones trying to influence this debate. The National Rifle Association sent a special alert to its members on Monday, asking them to contact their U.S. senators and urge them to oppose all anti-gun legislation. 13 conservative senators sent a letter to Senate Leader Harry Reid vowing to filibuster any legislation that would, quote, infringe on the American people's constitutional right to bear arms. And late Monday, the Senate's top Republican, Mitch McConnell, announced he would join their filibuster, too. Later today, Vice President Biden and Attorney General Eric Holder will be joined by law enforcement officials from around the country as they continue their push for new gun safety laws.
Senator Reid responded to that group of Republicans on the Senate floor. He says they owe a thoughtful debate to the families who lost their children. Georgia Republican Senator Johnny Isakson is also on Capitol Hill. Senator, good morning.
Good morning.
We invited Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, as well as 13 other Republican senators who have vowed to filibuster any gun control legislation. All of them declined. Do you think your fellow Republicans owe the families of these Newtown victims a vote?
Well, I'll speak for myself on that question. There was no ambivalence on the gun issue. I think everybody knows what the issues are. We have not seen the final draft of the legislation that was produced, I understand, last night, but I think it deserves a vote up or down.
We've heard, Senator, that you're planning to meet with the families later today. You know what they want. What do you plan to say to them?
Well, first of all, the heart and soul of every American goes out to the families of those who lost their lives in Sandy Hook. And they deserve a right to be able to sit down and talk with me, and I gave them that right, and we'll be happy to meet with them.
There's a lot of pressure coming from all sides on this. Is it having an impact from the NRA to gun rights organizations?
Well, it's having an impact. It's getting the phones to ring, and they're ringing on both sides. Michael Bloomberg was running ads back in Georgia telling everybody to call Senator Chambliss and myself. I know there are other programs going on to drive the phone calls, and they're doing their job. You know, there are two amendments at issue here. One's the First Amendment that you enjoy, the freedom of speech. That's what they're enjoying. Second is the right to bear arms, which is the whole issue in terms of the gun control.
Where do you stand on background checks?
Instant background check law in Georgia I was a part of in 1995 when it passed. The issue on instant background checks now is how far they go and whether or not they violate rights to privacy in terms of mental health. I just got to see the language that they finally come up with to see what it does.
So you're looking for a way to approve background checks?
I'm looking for a way to do what's right for the people of Georgia. I stand for the Second Amendment. I want our people to have unfettered access to be able to exercise their constitutional right. But also, if somebody's a felon and it's known, I don't think they should be able to make a purchase.
Senator, you are organizing a guest list for dinner with President Obama tomorrow night on Wednesday night. On gun control, do you expect him to pressure a number of your Republican senators who have been vowing to block this legislation?
I don't know what to expect, except that I think more of our talk is going to be about the budget, about debt, about deficit, about reform of entitlements, about getting our arms around the biggest problem that faces this country. That's what I hope it's about, and that's what I believe it will be about.
Do you believe that the president today is showing more initiative in terms of reaching out to Republicans than he has before? And do you believe it might have consequences for him, positive consequences?
He is reaching out more than in the past. There's no question about that. The proof will be in the pudding later on. I certainly hope it leads to us finding common ground. I'm one of those people that believes you're always going to have differences with the other side, maybe 20%, maybe 30%. But if you can find 70 or 80% common ground, that's a victory. And when it comes to reducing our deficit, reducing our debt, getting our fiscal house in order, we need to do that for the American people, and we need to do it now.
Senator, the other question that comes up in terms of the budget is whether the president is also being specific now in ways that he hadn't been before, and that puts the burden on Republicans to respond.
Well, if you're ever negotiating to find common ground, it's up to both sides to put offers on the table, and I intend to bring suggestions tomorrow night at the White House when we have our dinner to do just exactly that.
Senator, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
North Korea sending